we will discuss about the static keyword and final keyword. So the first topic is the static keyword. So what is the purpose of the static keyword? So before going to the static keyword, suppose we need to access the class members. So compulsory we need to create an instance of class. So to access the class members, we need to create the instance of the class. So by using the static keyword, without creating the instance of the class, we access the class members. So whenever we use the static keyword to access the class members, no need to create the object. Similarly, the static methods or attributes can also be accessed without creating the instance of the class. Now we can see one example how we can access the static methods without creating the instance of the class. For example, first we can create a class static ex. In this class we are taking the two methods. One is the normal method, that is the int multiply int a comma b. Another one is the static method, static int add int a comma int b. So to access the multiply method, we need to create the instance of the class. To access the add method, no need to create the instance of the class. Directly we can access this method using the class method name. For example, first we can create the static ex. St is the instance of the class, new static ex. So we are creating the instance of the class. So using the instance of the class, we can access the multiply method. So using the instance of the class, we can access the multiply method. St dot multiply 2 comma 2. Then the multiply method was accessed. So in this case, the 2 value is moved to A and this 2 value is moved to B. So return A into B. It will return the 2 into 2 4 value to main function. The output of this statement is 2 into 2 equal to 4. Next statement, system.out.println 2 plus 3 equal to add 2 comma 3. Here no need to use the instance of the class. Without instance of the class, we can access this method. Why? Because the add method is the static method. So that's why directly we can access the static method. So add 2 comma 3. In this case, the add method will be called. So 2 value is moved to A and 3 value is moved to B. So this function, this method return 2 plus 3 A. So the output of this statement is 2 plus 3 equal to 5. So in this way, without creating the object, we can access the static methods. So next we can see the another option for the static keyword. So now we can see another example. So by using the class name also, we can access the static methods. For example, class static ex, we are creating the non-static method, we are creating the static method. So here we are writing the main method. So first we are creating the instance of the class st. So using the instance of the class, we can access the multiply method. So using the class name also, we can access the static method. Here the add is the static method. So using the class name, we can access the static method. So static method can be accessed in two ways. One way is the without creating the object, another way is the using the class name. So we can access the static method. So the output of this program is 2 into 2 equal to 4. 2 plus 3 equal to 5. So this is the way how we can access the static method. Next one is the static variable. So what is the purpose of the static variable? The static variable also accessed without creating the object of the class. So generally, to declare the static variable, we use the static keyword. So to declare the static variable, we use the static keyword. So when we declare any variable as the static, it is known as the static variable. This is known as the static variable. So the advantages of the static variable is, this is common property of all objects. So the main benefit of the static variable is, it is the static variable common to the all objects. For example, company name of the employees. So the company name is common to all the employees. So in this case, the company name variable is used as the static. Similarly, college name of the student. The college name is common to the all the students. So in this case, the college name is declared as the static variable. So this is the benefit of the static variable. So the other benefit of the static variable is, memory gets only once. Memory gets only once. So this save the memory. So the static variable save the memory. Now we can see example how we can access the static variable. So we can see one example how we can access the static variable. Class name student, we are taking the two variables, roll number and name, and we are taking the another variable, static variable. Static variable string college equal to SESI. Here college variable is the static type of variable. Now the college variable is common to the all the objects. Now we are using the constructor. Now we are using the constructor to assign the values to roll number and name. So into r comma string n, roll number equal to r, name equal to n. Now we can write a normal method, display method, to print the values of roll number, name and college. So here we are not assigning any value to the college. Why? Because the college is common to the all the objects, since the college declared as the static variable. Here we are creating the two objects, S1 object. So for the S1 object, using the constructor, we are passing two values. So 246 is moved to R and Gopal is moved to the N. Now roll number equal to 246 and name equal to Gopal. So now S1 dot display. So this will call the display method. The display method print the roll number 246 and name method, name Gopal, and college. College is the common property to all the objects. So that's why the college name is SESI. It will be print the SESI here. Similarly, we are creating the student S2 object. So new student, we are providing the values using the constructor. So in this case, the roll number value is the 248 and the name is the Ravi Kumar and college name is the SESI. So once we create a variable as the static, so that static variable is common to all the objects. So here the objects are the S1, S2. College name is the SESI. So SESI is common to all the students, S1 and S2. So in this way we can use the static variable. Now we can see the static method. So already we discussed about static method. So without creating the instance of the classes, we can access the static method. So the other way of the static method is, we can change the value of the static variable using the static method. So static method is used to change the value of the static variable. So now we can see one example how we can change the static variable using the static method. So we can see one example. Here consider, take a class student. We are taking the two variables int roll number, string name. Now we are taking a static variable college equal to SESI. Now we can change the static variable college using the static method. So to change the college name, we can write the static method, static void change. So in this one, college equal to site. So by using the static method, we are changing the static variable value. That means SESI is changed to the site. Now we are writing a constructor to assign the values to roll number and name. We are writing the display method to print the values of roll number, name and college. So no need to assign the value to the college. Why? Because the college variable is the static variable that is common to all the objects. So the main method, we are calling the change method. So whenever we call the change method, that college name SESI is changed to the SIET. Now we are creating a object student S1 and here we are calling the student constructor. So by using this one, the 246 is assigned to roll number and Gopal is assigned to the name. Next, S1 dot display. S1 dot display means it will print the values of the roll number, name and college. So roll number is the 246, name is the Gopal and college is the site. Similarly, we are creating the object student S2. Next, we are using the constructor 248 and Ravi Kumar values moved to the roll number and name. Next, we are calling the S2 dot display. So in this case, it will print the roll number 248. Next, name Ravi Kumar. Next, college name is the site. So in this way, we can change the static variable value using the static method. So this is the one of the static method. Next, we can see about the final keyword. So what is the final keyword? So final keyword can be used with the variables and the methods and the classes. So the final keyword is applicable to variables, methods and classes. Now we can see how we can apply the final keyword to the different contexts. So when we apply the final to the variables, in this case the variables cannot be changed. The variables cannot be changed. So that means once we declare a variable as the final variable, we cannot change that variable. We cannot change the value of that variable. Similarly, when we declare a method as the final method, in that case the method cannot be overridden. In this case, the method cannot be overridden. Similarly, the final keyword can also be used for the final classes. When we use a class as final, that class cannot be inherited. That class cannot be inherited. So the final keyword is used for the variables, methods and classes. So when we declare variable as the final, in that case the variable value cannot be changed. So when we declare a method as a final, in that case that method cannot be overridden. Next, we can also apply a final keyword to the classes. In that case, that class cannot be inherited. So now we can see examples for the final variable, final method and the final class. Now we can see the final variable. So example, so we can creating a class bike. Next, here we are creating a final variable int speed limit equal to 90. Here the speed limit is the final variable. So it is not possible to change the value of this speed limit. So when we try to change the value of this speed limit, it will return an error. So we are trying to change the value of this speed limit using the void run method. So in the run method, we are specifying speed limit equal to 200. So in this case, it will return an error. So it is not possible to change the value of the final variable. Now we will see how we can use the final method. So whenever we declare a method as the final, it cannot be overridden. So we can see one example, class A is the base class. In that class we are writing a method 1. That method 1 is the final method. So now we cannot override that method 1. So the system.out.println is this is the final method. Now we are trying class B extends A. That means A class is the existing class. That properties can be used in the B class, class B class. So that means A class properties can be used in the B class. So that's why here we are trying to override this method 1. Whenever we are trying to override the method 1, it will return the compile error, that is the cannot override. So once we declare a method as the final, that method cannot be overridden. So this is the example for the final method. Next we can see the final class. So when we declare a class as the final, it cannot be inherited. That means it cannot be extended. For example, we can see final class A. So whenever we declare a class as final, that means the class A properties cannot be used in any class. So when we try class B extends A, so in this case we are trying to use the A class properties in the B class. So it will return the error, compile error, cannot be inherited subclass A. So this is the advantage of the final keyword. So this is the basic idea about final keyword and the static keyword. Now we can see the concept of the inheritance basics. What is inheritance? What are the advantages of the inheritance? The inheritance is the key feature of the OOP. That means we can use the existing class properties into the new class properties. So using the inheritance, we can use the existing class properties into the new class properties. So the new class is also called, new class is called as the subclass or child class or the derived class. Next, and the existing class is called as the superclass or parent class or the base class. So here, so class A is the existing class and class B is the new class. That means A class properties can be used in the B class. So then the class A is called subclass or child class or the derived class. Now the base existing class is this one. The B class is the subclass, child class, derived class, and the A class is the superclass, parent class, and the base class. The inheritance follow the parent-child relationship. So the main advantage of the inheritance is we can achieve runtime polymorphism. We can achieve the runtime polymorphism, and the another advantages of the inheritance is the code reusability. So these are the two advantages of the inheritance. Now we can see what are the different types of the inheritances. So before going that one, we can see the syntax of the Java inheritance. So first we need to existing class superclass. That superclass contains methods and the variables. Similarly, the superclass attributes can be used in the new class. For that class, subclass name extends superclass name. So here we can use the extend keyword to use the existing class properties into the new class properties. Here the existing class is the superclass name and the subclass new class name is the subclass name. So using the extend keyword, we can use the existing class properties into the new class. Again, the new class contains its own methods and variables. So the new class contains both existing class properties as well as its own methods and properties. So this is the syntax for the inheritance. Now we can see types of inheritance. Here we have the different types of inheritance. So here in Java we have the three types of inheritance. One is the single inheritance, second one is the multi-level inheritance, and the third one is the hierarchical inheritance. So in the single inheritance, we have one existing class, one so subclass. So the class A properties can be used in the class B. So class A properties can be used. That means we have only one level. So this type of inheritance is called single level inheritance. Similarly, we have the multi-level inheritance. That means the class A properties can be used in the class B. Again, the class B properties can be used in the class C. That means in the class C, we can use both class A properties as well as the class B properties. So this is called the multi-level inheritance. The third one is the hierarchical inheritance. That means the existing class properties can be used in the multiple classes. That means the class A properties can be used in both class B as well as the class C. So this is called the hierarchical inheritance. So in Java, we have the three types of inheritances. One is the single level inheritance, second one is the multi-level inheritance, and the third one is the hierarchical inheritance. So in the single level inheritance, we have one existing class and one new class. Next, in the multi-level inheritance, we have different levels. Class A is the existing class, class B is the new class. Again, class B is the existing class and class C is the new class. So in the hierarchical, one class properties can be used in the multiple classes. That means the class A properties can be used in different classes. So class B, class C, and also class D. So this is called the hierarchical inheritance. Next concept. So in Java programming, so we can achieve multiple inheritance and hybrid inheritance using the concept of interfaces. So by using the interfaces, we can achieve multiple inheritance and the hybrid inheritance in Java. So first one we can see multiple inheritance. That means multiple base class properties, and that means multiple existing class properties can be used in one class. Here class A, class B can be used in the class C. Similarly, hierarchical inheritance. So the hierarchical inheritance is a combination of two or more types of inheritance. So here we have this is the hierarchical inheritance. This is a combination of, one is the class A can be used in the class B and class C. So this is called hierarchical inheritance. Next, class B and class C can be used in the class D. So this is called the multiple inheritance. So for this example, so this hybrid inheritance is a combination of hierarchical inheritance as well as the multiple inheritance. So these are the different types of the Java programming. So in Java we have the three types of inheritance. Another two types of inheritance can be achieved using the concept of the interfaces. So this is the inheritance basics. So in the next class we can see the examples for the single inheritance. Next one, multiple inheritance, single inheritance, so multi-level inheritance, and last one is the hierarchical inheritance. Thank you.